Hi, I'm teacher Nikki, and I'm an online Spanish teacher that helps kids ages 8 and up excel with learning the Spanish language. Today I'm going to show you how I teach my students ages 8 and up learn to read in Spanish using TPRS. Let's get started. What are the things that you need to help your students read in another language? It doesn't just have to be Spanish. You just need 4 things: context, repetition, images, and movement. I'm going to walk you through exactly what I do to help my students learn how to read in Spanish. Vámonos! A couple things to keep in mind before we get started. I use this lesson with ages 8 through 10, and you could use it with students that are older as well. I think even high school or even adults could use this, but you could just change the images. One thing to keep in mind is that my students already do know the seasons. I've taught them this about a week before this lesson, and then that kind of bridges into learning about different activities they can do in the seasons. So I let them know ahead of time, okay, you guys, we're going to be doing a unit on seasons and different activities we can do in each season. All right, so, and then typically when I do this, I will make the screen, I'll put it into the slideshow, but for recording purposes, I want you guys to be able to see how I teach it, the body movements I do and everything. Okay, so, el otoño. I'll have them repeat. Repítanme. El otoño. En el otoño yo puedo cosechar manzanas, esculpir calabazas, juntar hojas, ir de paseo. Okay, let's go through those first few again. Cosechar manzanas. Esculpir calabazas. Juntar hojas. Ir de paseo. Llevar un disfraz. Beber sidra de manzana. All right, let's review these 3. Ir de paseo. Llevar un disfraz. Beber sidra de manzana. Now, if the students were not doing the movements with me, I'll have them go through and do it with me now. Okay, you guys, let's make sure we're all doing the movements together. ¿Listos? Cosechar manzanas. Beber sidra de manzana. All right, now I'm going to do a movement, and you guys have to guess which one I'm doing. Let's make sure to say the Spanish. Now, depending on the students or the group that I'm teaching, if I feel like they're struggling to remember the words, I will actually go through and say, what's cosechar manzanas? What's esculpir calabazas? And I'll put the English here too, just so they can reference that. This is totally okay. They don't have to have memorized it by this point. We're going to be doing a lot more practice with this vocabulary, and we'll be doing it over the next few lessons as well. So they'll get a lot of exposure to it. So since this is just the beginning, it's totally fine to put the English on there next to it. All right. Also, keep in mind too, you guys, these are beginners. I've only been teaching these students, let's say, up until maybe a month or 2 into my units. Let me check. Hang on. All right, I'll show you my materials. So, okay, a little bit more than 2 months I've been teaching them. So about 5 weeks, 6 weeks. It just depends on, sometimes it takes me a little longer to get through some of these. So I would say anywhere between like 5 to 8 weeks that I've been teaching them at this point. Okay, so I'll do a movement. Let's say I'll do this, and they have to tell me which one it is. Then I'll do this. I'll go through each one until we've gone through all of them. Now, since I teach online on Zoom, I will have them circle the picture. So this is a listening activity, recognition, recall. They have to recognize what I'm saying and circle it. So I'll say, dibuja un círculo. I'll give the instructions in Spanish. Dibuja un círculo alrededor de ir de paseo. I won't click on the one that I'm saying though. Juntar hojas. And if I need to say it twice, sometimes I'll say it twice. If they mess up, I'll say, oh, try again. Beber sidra de manzana. Cosechar manzanas. Esculpir calabazas. Llevar un disfraz. So if they have, I'll go a little bit slower if needed. I just went through them kind of quick so you could see what the activity is. And then we go through these again. So now I'm going to have them speak. I want to hear their pronunciation. So here I'll say, ¿Qué es número uno? And they have a word bank here. ¿Qué es número uno? ¿Qué es número dos? ¿Qué es número tres? We go through each one. If my students are struggling with pronunciation, I'll remind them of a, e, I, o, u, and how to practice with ma, me, mi, mo, mu, ba, be, bi, bo, bu. I do have another video. You can check it out. Click the link in the little pop-up here. And then we'll go through these again. So maybe I will ask them, okay, what is beber sidra de manzana? What is llevar un disfraz? And after a while, I'll switch it from English to Spanish. What is to go on a walk? What is to rake leaves? And then after this, we'll do a little break with, not a break, but another activity with drawing the images. So I'll have them, I'll share the Zoom whiteboard. And if you're in class, you could do it on your real life whiteboard in person. So I will share the Zoom whiteboard and then we'll go through that list. I'll say, ¿Qué es beber sidra de manzana? Llevar un disfraz. And the kids can just say it. I do allow them to just kind of shout it out if it gets to be too much. I have a small group, so if one person's dominating, then I'll say, okay, let's see if someone else can say it. And then I'll say, let's give some other students a chance. And then I'll see, if a few more students can chime in. And then if it does get a little rowdy, I'll just switch it up and say, okay, I'm going to call on you individually. But the reason I kind of have them all say it together is because then they're all getting that practice again. They're all thinking at the same time and practicing. And just adjust as needed depending on the class. Okay, so we'll go through the list. Make sure they have that list as a reference for the Pictionary game. So I'll draw first. I'll draw one of the images. I'll draw one of the vocabulary phrases, and then whoever guesses it correctly first in Spanish can draw next. And then we keep going and until we're done with that. Then we come back and we practice the reading. So first, I will read this first part. They have to fill in the blank. I do give them the word bank in Spanish up here. So I'll say, en el otoño yo puedo ¿qué? Which means in the fall I can what? And this is the picture, so they're supposed to say beber sidra de manzana. And then I'll count down. We're going to read together. 3, 2, 1. And we do a choral reading. So choral reading is when the whole class is reading together the same exact thing. This is a great way to improve fluency and for students to just feel comfortable all reading together. And they really enjoy that. So, en el otoño yo puedo beber sidra de manzana. And then they can also kind of still listen for the teacher so that they can hear correct pronunciation. En el otoño yo puedo ¿qué? So they're hearing this phrase over and over and over again. In the fall, I can. In the fall, I can. And they have all these different activities. So, llevar un disfraz. Muy bien. 3, 2, 1. En el otoño yo puedo llevar un disfraz. En el otoño yo puedo ¿qué? Ir de paseo. Bien. 3, 2, 1. En el otoño yo puedo ir de paseo. So it just goes on and on like that until we get to the end. And this is about a 25-minute lesson. You could extend it, as you like, or you can just keep it at that length, whatever you prefer. This is day 1. On day 2, we go to Nearpod. So on day 2, we go to Nearpod. I can make this lesson active or available for the public. So I'll share the link in the description for you guys. And then I also have all 4 seasons with activities just like this on Teachers Pay Teachers. So you can use this fall one as a trial. And then if you really like it, you can get all 4 seasons together on my Teachers Pay Teachers store. So all of that will be linked in the description. So the lesson is almost exactly the same, but there's some Nearpod activities in here. So we go through, we practice each one. I'm just going to jump ahead to the activities. So we have matching pairs first, where they have to match the Spanish with the English. So they would click on each pair that goes together. Where's this one? All right, and then once they finish, we go to the next one. We do the review with charades, guessing the body movement. Draw a circle around. So I'll say it. They circle. Llevar un disfraz. They have to circle. Cosechar manzanas. Beber sidra de manzanas. And so on. This is drag and drop. So they drag in the correct one to the correct image. Just like this. Then they have to draw one of them. So, dibuja y escribe beber sidra de manzana. That really helps too with putting the phrase with an image and writing it out. That really helps with being able to retain the vocabulary. Then we practice with that pronunciation again. I want to hear, can they say it? Can they pronounce it correctly? And we work on that if needed. Now we're going to start the reading, but here between the readings, between each sentence, they have to do a fill in the blank. So they will fill in the correct Spanish words, and they have the reference for English below. So this really helps them with understanding and seeing how the language may be a little bit different and kind of seeing where each word goes in the sentence. It's really good grammar practice in context. And then we go through the whole story again, and between each one they have that fill in the blank, which is kind of like similar to a close reading. So that's it, you guys. Thanks for staying until the end if you're still here. Thanks so much for staying until the end. Let me know in the comments if you are going to use this with your students or any takeaways that you have. I'd also love to hear if you've done something similar. Let's get going in the comments. All right, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe for updates. Put that bell notification on as well, and give this video a like, share it with your friends, because that does help boost my channel up, and I really appreciate that. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Adios.